So for SMEs, getting enough traffic to your website to convert into business is the key. But what do they do when they get there? So over the years, lots of small businesses have invested millions and millions of dollars, thousands of dollars for small business. It all adds up to trying to drive that traffic to convert it into more business. So that's turned into an industry called conversion rate optimization. And today we've got Matt Pezzamenti from Conversion Kings, Australia's premier conversion rate optimization business, to tell us a little bit about conversion rate optimization and to give us some insights into the tips and tricks of what small businesses can do to help drive traffic. So thanks, Matty, for turning up today.
Yeah. No worries. Well, thanks, Jace, for the introduction. I'm really grateful to get the invite to come and help share a little bit of information about conversion rate optimization. Hopefully today we'll be able to dispel any sort of myths that may be laying around for CRO, and also pass on some knowledge that we've acquired over the last 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, I've known Matty for quite a while, and I've seen the rise of Conversion Kings. It's been a fantastic journey for Matt, but it's also timed at the right time for conversion rate optimization as well, CRO we call it. Give us a little bit of an overview of what it's been like in that 6-year journey.
Yeah. Well, firstly, what was interesting about getting into CRO is I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, which is the first myth I'd like to bust. There's been no such thing as a 4-hour work week, never mind a 4-hour day, or even, So it's been a really interesting journey as we've gone through, because what we needed to do at the beginning of the agency was fundamentally redefine, or define at least, what conversion rate optimization is, how to deliver it, what the expectations are, the outcomes are going to be, and then what's really involved in being able to do it properly at scale. So it's been an incredible journey. A big part of it was trying to find other subject matter experts to learn from at the beginning, which I ended up having to fly over to London to meet some people in relation to that. And they've also given me a lot of great advice, and which again sort of changed our approach to the way we do it, because we needed it to be able to scale, and to be able to do that properly, we needed a full execution team behind us, which included data science, UX, UI design, front and back end development, project and conversion management, and then additional data analysis and research. So building that entire team, it now makes it infinitely easier to do conversion rate optimization, opposed to expecting one person to hold a number of different hats. Big change.
So we know that conversion rate optimization is not just whatever you do on the page. There's a lot of testing that goes on involved with, and I guess a lot of people see CRO as just testing, but it's a lot more than that. Can you give us an overview of the strategies you go through in that process to bring it online? For small businesses, it can be really difficult to know what to change on your site and when to change it, or how to interact with your customers. So we need to think about UX, not just testing. So it's a kind of holistic approach, isn't it, that you undertake? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess to kick off with it, I'd like to use a bit of an analogy to understand really what is conversion rate optimization, and also what it means for small business. And I actually might start with a question.
Yeah.
Jace, have you ever made a mistake before? Like being dead certain on something is 100% right, you've done it, and then after the fact you've realised, maybe this isn't something I should have done.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. And imagine if every decision you make was a positive decision for the business moving it forward, opposed to... Yeah.
And it would be huge.
Yeah. Well, fundamentally, that's the premise to conversion optimization, because what it does is, using a number of techniques that I'll just share with you shortly on the strategy and how we deliver, it gives a bit of a... what are those called balls that people use to predict the future?
Crystal ball?
A crystal ball, yeah. And making sure that everything you do is going to have a positive impact on the company, or on the web experience at least. So that's a hierarchy. That's a good way of thinking of what conversion rate optimization is. It's about, it enables you to make decisions that are going to help move your business forward, guaranteed. So it takes out that, should I not do this? So that's fundamentally how it helps.
Great.
The outcome to that is phenomenal. So you can have small lifts, you can have large lifts, but also what it does, it actually stops you from making bad decisions which actually cost the business money, which it shouldn't, or challenges you hitting your targets of what you need.
Fantastic.
Do you want me to break into the strategies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So the way we normally look at this is identifying exactly what are the key metrics within the business they want to move. So is that leads? Is that sales? Is that the average order value of sales? Is it the reduction of churn through a SaaS-based platform? Is it about understanding how the best way to present your offering to the business around brand is being able to be supported? So any business question you can have, optimization could really help that out. And that'll adjust what we do or how we approach it for your particular business case. So from there, once we identify what we need to achieve out of it, we then go through and go, well, the most person that's really important here is your customer. So we want to really dig down into understanding how does your customer transverse through your website? What is their baseline performance? What is why are they falling out of your conversion funnel at the moment? So where are they falling out of the conversion funnel? And then why are they falling out? So once you have that really good understanding, you'll know where your problems are on the site. Then it's the fun part here is about how do you ideate solutions on solving those. Once you've solved those issues or of ideas that you've identified challenging your performance, then it's a matter of how do I organize these improvements and or tests in a logical, strategic order so that the value from one test or the learning from one test gets moved to the next test and moved to the next one. Because as web problems are similar to us humans, we're very complicated and there's no generally single bullet to solve one problem, but problems can be quite dynamic and may have a lot of different variables to them. And then once you've been able to build out your testing plan and your roadmap of how you're going to implement it, then it's a process of going through, your designs, your development, your UATs, and then scheduling it in to be deployed, deploying it live, reviewing the results, updating the different strategies and findings, and then an update strategy plan, and then continue on with the process. So
fantastic. So you've got sort of the top Australian brands working with you on a week-to-week basis. Sometimes for small businesses, it's hard to sort of wrap your head around the difference between, okay, that's what these guys do. They've got endless budgets versus small to medium business where cash flow is tight. I can't throw thousands of dollars at testing necessarily. So let's have a quick discussion around what are some low-hanging fruit for small businesses that may not have a lot of cash, but and may not have enough traffic to actually run effective tests. So maybe we just touch on a few of those points.
Yeah, sure. Well, the first point to look at again, what is the purpose of the CRO program to begin with? And so the reason we want to start with that true objective, because that will then challenge the way that we roll it out and what we need to focus on and how. One of the typical things and one of the biggest areas of low-hanging fruit for any SME is actually getting proper reporting. And I know that sounds like boring, but it's so important because if you don't measure where you are and where you need to get to, how can you possibly come up with ways to get you from where you want to get to if you don't know where you're starting from? So it's really super important to get your analytics correct to help you make the right business decisions that's going to move your business forward. So that'd be the very first thing we would look at if we were working with a small business. Let's say they've got less than 10,000 sessions a month. This is one of the first places we talk at. So once we know where we're going and how we're going to get there, in the process we need to identify the customers. Who are those customers and how do we talk to their needs? And in a big business, we generally run a process around developing their personas if they haven't had that already or been ratified.
Yeah, we've spoken about personas in this video series.
Yeah. And it's an expensive process to take, especially when you're looking at large clients, different verticals or types of customers that they have. And being able to do that also requires quite a lot of research into mapping clients back to, other data sources to identify their database and trends. So one of the tactics we use for small business where they don't have that budget, where you can put in a lot of effort around identifying the personas, is we can either do things which are quite guerrilla in their way of being executed.
Cool.
So what we would do is we'd pull out 100 of their existing customers. We would then use that to potentially do a visual review of who those people are based on performance when you plug their names into Facebook.
So what are you looking at there? What are the key things in Facebook that you're looking at?
Well, I'm just wanting to make sure of gender, firstly, so male, female. The other one, depending on the client, we may look at other attributes. So working with an anti-acne company, what I was really interested in is what's the, I can't say this word, sorry, but what's their nationality?
Ethnicity?
Yeah, that's one, thanks, Jace. What is that? So you can do that visually by looking at the person and coming up with assumptions. Yes, this is not 100% like it's not completely accurate because people may have different images and whatever,
Yeah.
but at least it's giving you a beat of where to go to. Then what I use is then looking at Google Analytics demographic data that you find in your normal settings, and that will then give us a Google Analytic perspective of what their persona they think of.
Yes.
From there, you can also see the difference between people in analytics personas, and we're looking at actual sale data of personas as well. So that helps us really come up with a good picture of who the customer is. And it's something that you don't need specialist help on being able to do this. You just need to know how to use Facebook.
Spend the time.
Yeah, and do that. So for an SME to be able to come up with who their personas are, it's a really comprehensive way you could do it with a very small amount of time and obviously no budget. So that's really helpful.
Yeah.
From there, once we put ourselves into the situation of the customer, we then do a UX review, which is using UX fundamentals to look at and go, where is this applicable? Is there problems? Is everything okay? So some of the main things we look at there is, here's a good one, accessibility for disability. Now, the reality is there's a lot of people with disabilities online, and I urge you not to discredit it because it has other benefits, not just to the customer here.
Yeah.
So what it basically does is we're looking at a number of different things around visuals. So if the contrast isn't the right contrast up against something else, people who have bad...
Visually impaired?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to affect them. And then secondly is around when we apply the right techniques to making it accessible, it actually has a benefit to SEO as well.
Totally.
Because a lot of this is around SEO fundamentals.
Yep.
So we look at that. So we look at the UX side of things. We then look at the conversion fundamentals. So are you breaking conversion rules in your current process?
So you're talking about, is the flow smooth to achieve your overall goal?
Yeah, that's one thing we look at, but we use a methodology from McLabs, and what it looks like is what is the motivation of the user, what's the perceived value for that particular persona, what's the incentive to make them take an action right now, how much friction are they going through to perform the action we need, and what anxiety could the customer be having at this point in time, and how can you resolve that. So a good case study on that one is something I had personally last week when I bought a pair of personalised plates. My biggest anxiety was you have to go through and have your plates designed as they were, like with background, colours, format. And I was really anxious going, I want this set of plates because they look gorgeous for a car that I'm apparently going to purchase in the future.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And my anxiety then is, well, what happens if I end up having to buy a different colour car?
Yeah.
These plates aren't going to be relevant for them, but I don't want to lose that combination, so
Yes.
what do you do? And then what would have been helpful for me in that process would have been having, can you remodel these plates going forward, and what would be the cost associated with that, which would give me a lot more confidence that I can make a decision now, it'll still be relevant in 2-3 years' time.
Yeah.
So that's why that part is important. So we've looked at UX fundamentals, we've looked at conversion fundamentals, and whilst going through that, we may come up with some really strategic tests that we want to run. And it's important that we don't run multiple tests because you literally don't have the bandwidth. And we need to make tests which are going to have a large impact. So changing the color of a button, and if the contrasting is already fine, may have a very small level of impact.
And originally, everyone thought that's what testing was. Oh, we just change a few things, change the heading or a title or the name on the button, the label on the button, the colour of the button, but it's so much more than that.
It is, and I know where that language came from, which is one of the. It's been a good thing and a bad thing, because the good thing is it's generally served from a software or a platform pushing out into the market that, hey, anybody can do testing, it's really easy, just push this button, tickety tick 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 tick.
Yes.
So that got everyone involved and go, okay, well, I read this article of Amazon that just changed the colour of the button and it made $1 million more or something. But you think Amazon has a gajillion amount of traffic.
Yes.
So small changes are going to have a big impact to them.
Yeah.
But if you've got a small business, you need to flip it around. So you're a small business, big impact is the only possible way to get a reliable outcome from a test. And for a small business, those types of tests are around the way that you sell and how you're leading people through a conversion. So we were looking at one client that wants people to go through a sales flow, and they've positioned it about go through here for us to to apply basically for this financial product, where all their competitors are out there talking about have a look and see how much you can borrow.
Yeah.
So you can see the different contrasts in selling.
Totally different. Yeah.
So these are going to be really helpful tests with this client to go, should you go down this route or should you go down that route?
Yeah.
And so for small businesses, those types of tests are really helpful.
Yeah.
And then the next part to it is how do you then action those things that you've identified?
Yep.
And that's obviously through getting the right assistance to be able to design those tests or fundamentally input those recommendation strategies.
Yeah, and that can be quite a complex piece of work, and that's why you've been so successful, because you implement that for some very big brands on the fly, serving different data, serving different variations to lots of customers. So it's a testament to how you can get that info out there quickly and make those decisions on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah.
So quite often, what I've noticed with you as well, testing is a longer play. It's not a short-term fix. Mm-hmm. The more you get to know the business, the more you get to know their processes, the more that you can build better outcomes for them using, I think this test will work. Is that how you...
With the enterprise businesses, we generally map out the conversion program over 12 months. And it's important to do that so we understand what their planned promotions are around, any planned maintenance on the website that we need to be mindful on, and then we can create a longer strategy, which is obviously able to be updated as we go through, but at least gives us a base understanding how we're going to execute it.
Yep.
For a small business, however, due to the business owner wearing a lot of hats at the moment,
yep,
and maybe sharing a lot of time with the conversion agency over an extended period of time is maybe a little bit too much for them.
Yep.
So we only want to double down for these small businesses, especially when we're finding the profit that comes out at the end of testing can then continue to finance it going forward with the additional revenue you get from it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're very mindful on. So we'd look at a minimum of a 3-month project for small business, and where we sort of draw a line in the sand. We let the effects of what we've done sort of start filtering into the performance of the business. And then we meet to discuss how to move forward. Because at the end of the day, we're only here to help business, not to slow it down, not to negatively affect it. So if we're adding value, and which we do, and we can prove that through data and results and the uplifts, then good to go.
Yeah.
If what we've done hasn't been able to solve those additional problems, we obviously reset what needs to be done and then make those recommendations back to the customer as well.
Yeah. I think where one of the key factors with CRO sits is a lot of business owners just go, oh, my ads are working, I'm getting business. And they just start dialing it up, paying for more ads and paying, throwing cash at Google for no real good reason. Yes, they're building their business, but whereas this is a reflection on, okay, let's actually see if we can turn this dollar spent here into a lot more cash. That's a critical baseline fundamental of what you're working with, isn't it? Like that's
Yeah, it is a tricky one as well, because this also means a continual a feedback back to the client of what really affects your conversion rate. The conversion rate is defined by the amount of people come to the site that achieve, what percentage of these people perform a certain goal, which might be a conversion.
Yeah.
So if you're running at a certain conversion rate, let's say it's 2%, and they think, you know what, I'm going to just push my acquisition traffic up through paid search through the roof. So they may have had a budget of, say, $10,000, and they go, we're going to go $20,000.
Yeah.
But what that does is that you'll quickly realise there's a diminishing return on expanding sometimes your account, because those keywords that you're going for are not the really premium keywords, so you're going to get getting dropping performance. So your conversion rate is sitting here solid. You increase the amount of traffic being unqualified, it actually moves your conversion rate down.
Yeah, right.
So it's really important to see that.
Yes.
And it's not uncommon to see people's paid search spend lose about 50% of its efficiency through the bounce rate. So if you're running your paid search and you've got, let's say, a 50% bounce, I've seen it between 60 to 90, but let's look at, say, 50%, and you spent $10,000 that month on paid search, and with a 50% bounce rate, it's kind of like you've taken that $5,000 and just thrown it off your shoulder. Yeah. Which is a really hard thing to do. So in conversion optimization, we need to see what are your most effective channels
Yeah.
that are bringing in traffic, and at what point in time you're getting a diminishing return. So just
Yeah.
throwing more money at it isn't the
key. Yeah.
We've also had times where people gone, okay, well my PPC isn't really diminishing returns. I'd like to change to a retargeting strategy, and this way they'll generally buy a lot of, let's say, Google Display. People go to the website, they bounce, but they don't care. That's kind of what they were intending on,
Yeah.
because they're going to drop a cookie and just retarget that person to go through
Yep.
as well, and then come back in. And again, we had another client like that that changed their strategy. And whilst we could see their conversion rate was still solid and actually growing. A lot of it was because of the test we were executing. But what effectively that meant was it affected their true conversion rate, because you've got all this really low quality traffic happening, and then their retargeting strategy wasn't effectively bringing those people back to the site.
Yeah.
So there's a few things in there, and that's
Lots of moving parts.
Yeah. You just
Yeah.
really need someone from a data analytical, non-emotional side to come in and go, that's not working, this isn't working, and we need to adjust that change.
Yeah. And I'd have to say, having known Matthew for a long time, the one thing he's totally obsessed about is analytics and data. Spreadsheet, he's the spreadsheet king. It's very impressive. Now, as we move, 2020's been a shocker, but we're moving into 2021. What do you think some trends you're seeing in CRO in that space that we could take forward, the secrets that no one else knows about?
Yeah, well, the biggest trend I'm seeing, especially in this late part of the year, is a lot of, maybe a small business case as well, but from an enterprise space, they're all wanting to build an internal CRO department. And the reason being is they've come to the realization that this department should basically sit in the middle of the company, making sure we leverage and optimize all channels, all experiences, and all customer feedback into the business. So that's
such a cultural shift in the business.
Yeah. It really does remove arguments in the business, because you might have an opinion on something, I may have an opinion on something. We're looking at the same data. We can't somewhat agree on that.
Yes.
Let's run a test and see where it lands.
Yes.
And I think just removing ego out of it, that's where I've even seen challenges with recruitment. People moving their head away from, I reckon this is going to work, to then going, no, we need the data to validate it.
Yeah.
So I think from an enterprise space, we're going to see a lot more people building internal CRO teams, which is fantastic. And I really hope everyone does the best with that, because the better practitioners, the better support we have in the industry.
Yeah.
And then from an SME's perspective, I'm seeing it come in as a point of curiosity. But the biggest challenge I've all been told is that you don't have enough traffic to do it. So it's a little bit frustrating for them. However, that being said, we have found some really unique ways to apply a CRO program into a small business that has very little traffic, but at least get some good insights out of it.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So if you'd like to know more, please don't hesitate to reach out and talk to Matt at Conversion Kings. The website is conversionkings.com.au. You can subscribe to this channel for further updates. We do weekly and fortnightly updates on various things, web and digital, touching all parts of not just conversion, but development and hosting and optimization. So stay tuned and we'll talk soon. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you, Jay. It's been great.
Cheers.